If you're a woman navigating menopause and you're feeling like your energy levels are plummeted, you're in the right place. Over the last 20 years of working with clients in menopause, the one thing that they all come to me with is an extreme level of low energy. Levels of energy that are so low that they affect their personal lives, their professional lives, their relationships. Several of them want to be isolated, so not having the energy to be social and even intimacy problems. If this is something you're struggling with, you want to stay until the end. In this video, I'm going to get into the 5 steps to be able to help you fix your energy levels. Without further ado, let's dive in. Menopause brings about significant hormone changes and predominantly declining levels of estrogen and progesterone. And something to understand is as our levels of estrogen fall, it affects our gut health, our gut microbiome. And this specifically is what drives and leads to extreme low energy levels. Prior to menopause, our gut used to help metabolize or break down estrogen. But now that our estrogen levels are falling, this creates an imbalance, which also contributes to low energy levels. So let's get into the 5 steps. But before I do, I've put together a free guide with tips to help you with low energy and menopause weight gain. If you want this guide, comment down, give me the guide, and we'll drop you the link to download the PDF. The first step is to nourish your gut health. You want to incorporate dark leafy greens such as kale, spinach, or arugula. They have fibers and active prebiotics, and this actually improves and really gives you a really healthy gut microbiome. An easy and delicious way to incorporate in those greens is to buy a bag of mixed greens and throw it in as a side with a light vinaigrette. And the second step is you want to maintain a balanced diet. What that means is we want most of our meals to be balanced, and we are referring to proteins, carbs, and fats. So in pretty much everything we have, we want a protein, carb, and fat. So if I have chicken, I want to have a carb. So maybe I want some rice or I want some bread. I want to make sure to have some greens, right? That side salad or some cucumbers or green beans, something with that. If I have even a snack, I'm talking if we have potato chips, we don't want to have just potato chips. That's saturated fats and carbs. So we want to incorporate proteins to balance out the chips that are going to be high in saturated fat, and to add in some greens of some sort that have some fiber, or you can even grab some super greens, and I've even got a link below if you want the ones that I actually use. Ensuring that you're consuming balanced meals is crucial to energy levels. If we're consuming, say, a piece of meat by itself, it most likely has a lot of fat in it. Generally, that is going to spike our blood sugar. And every time we spike our blood sugar, it triggers the release of insulin from the pancreas. And when we trigger the insulin to be secreted over and over and over, that is what creates inflammation. And the inflammation is what's driving our energy down low. So really key factor is how are you consuming your foods? An example, we wouldn't want to just go and have half an avocado. That's primarily a fat, so we'd be missing the protein and we'd be missing the carbohydrates. So something to really pay attention to is how are you consuming most of your meals. Anytime you're consuming a meal or a snack missing any of the macronutrients, proteins, fats, or carbs in any way, we are going to spike our insulin generally. If I eat an apple alone without balancing it with protein and enough fat, my blood sugar is going to spike. And if I spike over and over and over, especially during menopause, we've already got insulin resistance, so it's driving the insulin resistance up higher. So what this means is the higher insulin resistance go, the chance of gaining more belly fat is going to be higher, because when we drive up insulin a lot, we're going to also make this very stressful for the body. And we're going to have high levels of cortisol. High levels of cortisol trigger and signal the retention of water and fat. And that's why we often have that belly fat along with the low energy levels. So key here is to specifically make sure that we're balancing out every snack or meal for the most part. And the third step is you want to incorporate regular activity or exercise, things like yoga, walking, or strength training. The key to regular activity is that it helps lower natural cortisol levels. So when we're feeling a bit stressed, just natural activity generally will lower the cortisol levels. Also, when we're very stressed, we also increase our insulin resistance. And something very important to understand is energy levels is really about incorporating not only balanced meals, but really heavily focusing on mind and body connection as well. So incorporating in regular activity not only helps lower insulin, but it's also going to generally shift you into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is where the body is able to rest and digest. And that's often why when you're feeling upset with your stomach, say you're stressed about something, that you might have ulcers or you have indigestion. And the reason that happens is we've shifted, instead of being in the parasympathetic nervous system, we're in the sympathetic nervous system. So a key to exercising is to understand the reason psychologically and physically how it's working. Primarily, it's going to help increase your energy levels because it's going to shift your brain waves into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, where our body is able to relax and digest. And when we do that, then we also lower our insulin levels. In step number 4, you want to ensure quality sleep. You want to make sure that you limit your screen time at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. And I actually want to talk about that. So many of my clients ask me, does that really make a difference? And the answer is yes. The blue lights within the screens, whether that be your iPad or your phone or whatnot, actually affect our brain wake cycle. And so it will make or trick your brain, so to say, as to not to want to get sleepy as early as you're used to going to bed on your regular bedtime schedule. And so the longer that you're engaged in some type of blue light device, then that is going to inhibit really good quality sleep. Another thing to be really important is to make sure that you're not sleeping with your phone next to your bedside. The closeness of the blue rays around your head or even your facial area is going to affect your ability to go into a deep sleep. So generally your phone across from the bedroom, and then you also want to go to bed and get up almost the same time each day. And the reason for that is that helps set your natural circadian rhythms. If we're staying up late or going to bed early and have really chaotic schedules as far as sleeping, then it really does affect our hormones. One of the things I see the most is in healthcare workers. I know, right? As a registered nurse, I remember taking those night yard shifts, and I definitely understand if you've got to work nights, you want to just shift your sleep patterns around. And something that really helped when I did night shifts is to be able to get one of those eye masks to block out, or to have those dimming curtains that blacken your room so that you don't have any type of light coming in that disrupts your sleeping pattern. Another reason why it's very important to make sure that you get really deep quality sleep is anytime we do not have a quality night's sleep. Notice I didn't say that we have to have so many hours all the time. It's really quality. And the reason why, when we sleep, it's the only time that our body can wash out, so to say, the toxins in our body, and for our body to kind of replenish up those hormones. And so if we have a bad night's sleep, and especially if we're doing this over and over, saying we're staying up too late, watching Netflix or whatever that may be, and I'm all about that. But what I'm saying is, if we do that over and over, I just want you to know it is affecting your hormonal balance. Studies have shown that it drastically lowers your estrogen and progesterone if we're not sleeping enough. And remember, if we're not sleeping enough, we're also increasing our insulin resistance. And when we increase our insulin resistance, we're increasing our cortisol levels. And then we get back to the same thing I've talked about throughout the video, is we've got back to high cortisol levels, high insulin levels, and those compound together, have an incredible amount of inflammation. And the inflammation is, again, compounding the loss of energy that you're experiencing. And the last step, you want to manage stress effectively. You want to incorporate mindfulness, meditation, or something that's really relaxing. Something that I would encourage you is to take the time and really understand how your body works with breath. I actually want you to do this with me. So I'm going to talk you through it and then we're going to do it together. So what I want you to do after we go through this together is I want you to inhale for 4 breaths. So through your nose, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's very important that you take your breath through your nose. And I'll tell you why in just a second. And then we want to exhale for 8. So we want to exhale for double the amount of inhales through our nose. And then we want to exhale out through our mouth. Now, why are we doing that? Studies have shown, and I tested this out, is when we inhale through our nose for a count of 4. So let's do it together. I'll actually count out as you breathe in. So if you'll breathe in, shut your mouth, leave your nose open, and take a deep breath for 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and hold it. And then we're going to exhale for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And so what you want to do is when you're feeling stressed, you want to take that specific cycle that we just went through and repeat that 3 to 5 times. And the reason why is, remember how we just talked about the sympathetic nervous system versus the parasympathetic nervous system. What we want to do when we're feeling stressed is that signals fight or flight that is going to be in the sympathetic nervous system. And as long as we're in the sympathetic nervous system, our body is in that vicious cycle. Something's going to happen. I'm all stressed out. What am I going to do? And what that does is that creates high cortisol levels. That also can trigger higher insulin levels. But if we will bring ourselves to our breath, and that is the number one thing I find that works not only with me, but my clients. A lot of clients and a lot of people can't meditate. I find that very difficult to sit still and to quiet their mind, especially when you're stressed, right? So I have found that taking the slow breath, just like I've instructed you, and again, what we're doing is we're slowing the brain waves down to take us into the parasympathetic nervous system, to trick our mind into thinking that the reality is calm, everything is fine. Because if we're not feeling stressed, we're breathing calm. And so just by changing our physiological response as slowing the breathing tricks the mind in that we're actually not stressed, and then your body is able to rest and digest. The reason why this is so very important is you can do all the steps that I just walked you through. And if you're very reactive or you're undergoing a lot of stress, that negates everything that we've done, because the hormones are going to override to put you back into the sympathetic nervous system, changing those hormones, creating more imbalance hormonally, and all of the work you did from exercise, from balancing your meals, to everything that we talked about is not going to be yielding results, and that's going to affect your energy levels. Now, do me a favor. When you actually do that cycle of rest for 3 to 5 times, come back to this video and let me know how you felt. What I want you to notice is that it's going to literally calm your demeanor, the way you feel, and pay attention to your energy level versus before, especially when you hit a stressful spot or you're thinking about something that's probably not serving you. Throw this cycle of breath in and tell me how that works for you. By implementing these 5 steps, you can naturally boost your energy in menopause. Remember, this is about having a harmonious lifestyle, making things work for you. If these are new to you and you've not done any of these, I would start and take 1 step at a time. So if you're not exercising or you're not balancing meals, I will always say start with your food first, because that's going to have the biggest impact on you. So I would start between sleep and your food, and then slowly incorporate the rest of the steps along the way. If you're finding these insights helpful and you want to learn more, don't forget to comment guide, and I'll send you my free comprehensive PDF to help you with more tips to increase your energy level and help you lose weight. And be sure to watch the next video.